Hello and welcome back to Zim Boys. So in today's video, we have Poster with us today. He's blessed us with his presence. It's been a minute since I last spoke to him, but we always have interesting conversations when we link up. So I was like, dude, hold up, hold up, hold up. Before we talk, let's make sure we video it. So yeah, Poster, how's it going, man?
Bo, uh, everything is good.
Great, great, great. So I'm sorry to be pretentious and stuff, but on this podcast, we love doing our thing in English so that one day someone will be watching from Botswana, from wherever, and they might benefit or just be entertained by whatever conversation that we are having. I'm having some COVID, but not 19 Corona.
I have my cars over here,
Right.
740 meals of pure delight.
It's called CUS.
Cas, I don't know where that comes from.
All right.
Cas fresh.
Cast fresh. All right, all right. Um, Before we start, I have one thing to make you laugh. Are you ready?
Okay. Oh, can you
Yeah.
open can you open it up? Like, I want to see what it looks like. Is it like a paste or is it the real thing?
Let me get my chopsticks so I can like
Oh,
show
the
you
whole
properly.
setup.
Yeah,
Bring it on.
please. Yeah, man. So lately I've been learning how to use chopsticks
All
so
right.
that I won't embarrass myself, but mostly you when I come. So you say,
Yeah.
is it the real thing or we're being
Can you twist your fingers like this in the bone and so I can see how you're holding them?
oh mistakes?
Yeah. Can you move them? All right. All right. Yeah, that's pretty much it.
But
I think
is this the real kimchi?
yeah, that's kimchi. That's kimchi right there. That's kimchi right there. Well, what's your take on kimchi?
Bro, it's nice. It's nice. Unfortunately, my English is so limited I can't properly describe it, but it has what do you call it? Kuvira.
Like if fermented feel
Yeah,
to it.
it's fermented, but the taste of something chakavira, what is it called? Like that boom, that sting, bit of a sting or.
I wouldn't know how to explain it, but sadly, I can understand it. I don't know if our audience would
Mhm.
get it. But yeah, I definitely know what you're talking about. But I think they're also like so you can eat it the way you're just eating it, but you can also have like a variety of recipes that makes use of kimchi. Like for example, if you have a rice cooker, you put in your rice,
Mhm.
some kimchi, your meat, your veggies, and just let it cook on its own. You will have yourself an easy meal.
Oh man. Yeah, it's good stuff. It's good stuff. Um, you might be wondering why I'm using chopsticks, eating kimchi. So, Vosta is joining us all the way from Korea. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
So I'm just trying to get in good with the culture. But one thing that I like Asian food, but one thing that I didn't like, that I really, really don't like, is soy sauce. What's your
All
take
right.
on soy sauce?
How do you consume your soy sauce before I speak?
So I always encounter it like in food, in what do you call it, chow mains and things, or if chicken or whatever is made with soy sauce. Yeah. And I think this is illegal. When I do my own cooking, I sometimes
Yeah.
like add it in my stir fry.
All
Probably
right,
I'm
all
not
right.
supposed to do that.
You're definitely supposed to do that. But I think, yeah, it can be. like a 50-50 type of situation. There are two kinds of people in this world, those who like soy sauce and those who don't. But I think if you're focusing on like an Asian dish completely,
Mhm,
soy sauce can be a good thing, especially if you can pair it with oyster sauce
mhm.
and other Asian spices and herbs. Yeah, it can bring up that sweet but also savored taste. I don't know. So if you're cooking your sweet meats, if you want to do that, I think soy sauce is a good addition to that.
So it's used in sweet and sour kind of dishes.
Yeah, those kinds of dishes. If you put it in somewhere savory, it might mess up the whole thing. So,
Excuse me.
but if you're going for sweet and
Mhm.
Asian, I would say it might help.
So personally, you love it. You love it.
Yeah, in certain things. I understand your position because it's not like all the time I'm like, yay, soy sauce. But in certain things, like the dishes that I make, or like bland foods that really need a strong taste. For example, chicken breast, when I'm cooking chicken breast,
Mhm.
I need my soy sauce and my oyster sauce to give it that sharp taste.
Yeah, man, that's what's up. So, basically, a bit of a background to those who are watching this video. We are really just talking. It's a conversation between friends. Like, if you were in the pub with us, just having a drink, just chilled, no topic, nothing, no, pre-planned conversations, no, just chill. So me and Foster, we go way, way, way back, like from day one primary school, up to now where we're at, somewhere in our late 20s to early 30s. So being Zimbabweans, most of us after we finish, high school or uni, or whatever kind of education you get, or even if not, most of us are forced by circumstances to leave our homeland and go to live in foreign countries. And as a result, you lose this social network, you know, like Foster, he's in Korea and I'm in England. The distance is just so fast. Um, Thankfully, technology keeps us so close. You can just video call and talk. But I can imagine how it was, before they had video calls, and I can also just imagine how it must be for all of you out there to be separated from your friends because of circumstances and things, and you get to live a whole new life where there's a whole new you who your friends and family might not even be able to recognize. So it's always important when we get the chance to touch base and just talk about life, you know. So, Foster, what's been
Mm.
on your mind lately?
Things. I I I think you were talking about circumstances a while ago.
Yeah.
I think circumstances have made it inevitable that we have to constantly be thinking about 10 things at a time. Okay, maybe I will begin by way of contrast. Like when I speak to Korean youths,
Mm-hmm.
they're very, what I would call focused and very limited things on their minds. People my age are thinking about, progressing in their careers,
Mm-hmm.
starting a family or not, hobbies.
Mm-hmm.
That's pretty much it. That's pretty much it. Uh, but for people like us, I think while that would be a very comfortable life, just thinking about those things, we're also forced to think about, the progress in society, progress in economics, progress in politics, like things that could be done better to make sure that climate change doesn't affect my rural home in Boera. Um, what policies could be made to advance the youths and all of that. I don't think it should be the burden of a regular citizen, but because of circumstances, we are forced to always be thinking about all of those things. And on top of that, We also have to think about careers. We also have to think about, starting a families or not. And so I would argue that myself and maybe you and most of the people who are listening right now, we are forced by circumstances to have 10 things in our minds all at the same time. And I don't know if it's very healthy or not, but that's the reality.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think it's healthy at all, because like you have said, like some people our age, they're thinking
Mm,
about marriage,
yeah.
careers, hobbies.
Mm,
You're thinking about politics, economy, all of
mm,
those things, and
yeah.
we just have so much on our shoulders, and we have our families back home. They're thinking, well, these guys left, they must look after us.
Yeah.
And sometimes you get to put certain things on the back burner. Like for me, bro, to be honest, every man wants to, maybe not every man, but most of us, like, we all want to get married someday.
Mm,
But it's something that I can't even start seriously considering right now because at first it was, I can't consider it. I have to get an education, got my education, and after I started working, I was like, if I'm to have a family, will I be able to look after the family? No, I need to make a
yeah.
bit more money.
Um,
And now I'm making a bit more money. I'm thinking, oh, the people back home. So you're never in a good place to really start your life as you should.
yeah.
And that's messed up. And
Yeah.
it's messed up. I feel like, but we're also conditioned to think or to feel like it's normal to leave our homeland. Like
Yeah.
it just happened, and when you come to a foreign country, people are like, "Oh, you're so brave, you're so brave." But for you, oh, so brave?
That's funny. Yeah.
Yeah,
This is a this is nothing. It's just like I didn't have many options. That's why I'm here.
yeah, yeah. Just like when you go to grade one, you'll be like, "Oh, I'm going to the grade two next year." For us, when we went to uni and for me to do my course, it was just like, "Oh, so I've done this. The next step is to leave the country." Well,
Yeah. That,
it's messed
that's
up,
true.
man. It's messed
Yeah.
up. Did you hear
Yeah.
about the riots in the UK?
Mm, are they anything to do with immigration
The anti-immigration riots, yeah.
yeah, I think I've seen snippets of it, but I'm not privy to the whole information. What's going on?
Well, it's sort of like it has died down now, but
Mm,
about a month ago,
mm,
there was this boy or young man. Let's
mm,
call him a young man. He was like 17 or 18. He is born of East African parents, but he was born in Wales.
mm,
And what he did was took a knife and, for whatever reason, went to a sort of a dance recital
mm,
and he stabbed like three little girls, man. So when that happened, his name and thing were concealed, and there was a bit of guessing going on. At first, they thought he was from the Middle East, but then it became clear that his parents are like from Africa. So what happened was there were these riots, anti-immigration riots. They're like, if you are not white and British, we don't want you here. These people, they need to go back to their homes. Cars were burnt, shops were looted. But thing is, for me, it was very, very unsettling because I'm only used to that kind of behavior coming from, countries that I thought to be like uncivilized. Because I
mm,
thought like when we are here, most of us we are law-abiding citizens, we pay tax, we hold jobs, and we thought there are some who are not, you know. too much happy about our being here. I didn't think people would come out and say it in that way. And honestly, it made me feel unsafe. And it made me think like, so what's my place in the world? Are these people right? Should I have stayed home and tried to make Zimbabwe better in my own way? It was a really tough time. It was a really tough time.
Yeah, I think the whole idea of immigration is a very difficult topic to handle for anybody. Like at the same time, immigration has built this world the way it is. You know how they say why Africa is not as developed as the rest of the world? Uh, because the structure of Africa itself limits the mobility of people from one place to the other, thereby limiting the spread of ideas, of good ideas. Um, so where you have Eurasia, just connected from China to the British Isles, where people could move freely whenever they wanted to, you had the spread of good ideas, the spread of, survival techniques from one corner to the other. And that built that world. And arguably to this day, we're reaping the benefits of, transit of people. And so the idea of like, oh, let's shut it down, while it sounds so good, to natives, at least, it's very impractical. Um, and but the problem is there are so many things that we would have to consider to do it maybe correctly, which are very sensitive, for us to properly, handle immigration. At the same time, if we are to make, let's say, formerly African citizens, British citizens, it means we have to strip them of their identity and things like that. Um, which to begin with is the advantage of, immigration. Like people come with their own peculiarities that may help, and sometimes they are not as helpful. So yeah, I don't think we have ready answers about this, but yeah, it's really a complicated issue.
It's complicated, man. But what do you mean by exchange of ideas in Africa was difficult? Is it geographic, cultural? What do you think made it difficult for
Ge-
us to, in the
Geographic.
same way, interact with other neighboring African nations in the way that Asia and Europe got to interact, share cultures and ideas?
Think about it. The Egyptians, maybe in what 2000 BC, had invented writing with hieroglyphics and all of that. We may all agree that writing is a really good thing.
Mhm.
Uh, but think about the pygmy in the Congo if they wanted to learn that hieroglyphic.
Mhm.
There's the tropical jungle, then there's the Sahel region, then there's the Sahara Desert.
Mhm.
So somebody has to walk through the Sahara Desert, then go past the Sahel region, then go past the tropical jungles just to say, oh, you know what? We have things that we use to record and to do all of that.
Way over.
So yeah, and nobody could cross that. That's why you see, for example, with the pygmies in the Congo, you don't find them in a technically nearby country like, Sudan. They couldn't walk and, just immigrate to that land because of those geographic barriers. If you go past the tropical jungle, you are now maybe in Namib Desert, you have the Kalahari, you have the uh, whatever desert. And so people couldn't move large distances freely and easily, like back and forth, because you need your natives to, say, people who were in the Mutapa Kingdom, to
Mhm.
move to the Mandinga Empire and see what people do and come back home and say, oh, you know what?
Mhm.
You're cooking your pap this way. You could do it this way as they do it in the as the Bugandas do it.
And you
but
can
because
pound your yam this way.
around you can actually eat yam as well. It's an addition to your diet. You know that yam is a recent addition to the Southern African
You know what?
diet. Mm.
What's the difference between yam and cassava, if you know it all?
So yam is more like a sweet potato. That's what it's shaped like. It's the whole, big family, but yam it looks more like a sweet potato. Uh, and I don't think we have lots of it back home. Or sometimes we conflate them with sweet potatoes. It's just a variety of sweet potatoes when it comes to Zimbabwe. But yeah, that's the best I can say because when I see like recipes online saying, "Oh, use yam," and I said that's sweet potato. But they then I looked it up and they have like particular definitions that it's yellow inside, it's this taste and it's not that taste. So it's very similar to sweet potato, whereas cassava it's much more elongated and it's quite distinct from sweet potatoes. Mm.
Me growing up, like I was under the impression that those kinds of things were poisonous.
Oh
That's
yeah,
what
some
I
of them
thought.
are. Some of them are. We had an incident, a sad incident back in in our rural home where a family of six of children, they just saw a plant that looked like a cassava plant,
Mm.
dug it up and found what looked like cassava roots at the bottom and cooked them and ate them. And I think two of them died and maybe two of them survived at the hospital. So they look very similar, but because we are not very informed about them, there's a delicate process of growing it. There's a delicate process of preparing it, and yeah. So thinking it's all poisonous might be a good survival instinct for you.
Just to stop all of it.
Mhm.
Honestly, we did lack, the mobility to exchange ideas, culture, food, and because it's so funny that I had to come to the UK to actually get to learn about my fellow Africans.
Yeah,
Really funny.
yeah.
Um, we're going on to the next segment. We're gonna take a commercial break. Back in a sec. Yeah, so you saw this lady's in about her 60s.
Yeah, and I look over and she's looking at me, smiling like a mother looking at her son who's just,
Yeah,
one mother or something. There was no words exchanged or anything, but I
no,
felt my mom was not here, and I felt like I was looking right at my mother. This was a black lady. She just, as soon as I looked at her, she lit up like she was looking forward to me looking at her. And just that connection. And I just nodded and she smiled even more and she went her way and I went mine. And yeah, it was just I don't know where she's from. I don't know if she's even African, but I just felt that connection and
yeah.
it was amazing.
She made your day and you made her day too.
Yeah, hopefully I made her day too, but she made my day. And I think that little interaction will have an impact on my life to the end of my days.
Yeah, yeah, I can imagine it's not easy really. Being
Mm.
away from home, you really, really have to be strong and just do what you have to do.
Yeah.
For me here, the other thing that was very difficult for me was for the first time I noticed that I was black. I always knew
Wow.
that I'm black, but it didn't mean anything because in Zimbabwe, everybody looks like me, use our own native language, so you just get through life. But over here, at first I lived in a small town
Mm.
called Worcester, and you could see people like looking at you, staring. My first time when I went shopping, maybe a week after I moved here, I went to this shop called Asda. It's like our spa. So I had spa or shop, right? I had two massive grocery bags. Like I was walking on the pavement, and this lady with her husband, they were walking towards me on the pavement. I was on the right, on the left. We're walking. Soon as I approached them, it was about 1 o'clock in the afternoon. So I didn't like startle them or sneak up on them. We're just walking. And the lady just looked at me like that and hung on to her husband like she was holding on for dear life. And me and my bags, I just, went to the side and gave them a bit of space and just
Mm.
continued walking. Man, that was an awkward
Right.
experience. I just don't know what was going on in her mind. Like, what was she thinking? What was she thinking I was going to do? Drop my bags and do something? I don't know. It was a weird experience. Have you ever had any experience that made you feel like odd one out? Or actually, have you ever had an overtly, I don't know, racist encounter?
I think I might have to give this to Koreans.
Mm,
Granted, I've heard and I've seen so many people online complain about, racism and all of that.
mm,
But personally, I've been here for 7 years, and uh, Koreans have been all but gracious to me. And
mm,
also, I think also some of it has to do with just me not looking for, just not being aware of it. For example, at one point I was with this Korean girl. We walked. She has had terrible experience when she was in the US.
mm,
She's so suffered a lot. And we go into a coffee shop and we settle down. And she asks me, "Does it make you feel awkward when people stare at you like that?" And I said, "Who's staring at me?" Like she claims that when we walked in, people stared at me. I
mm,
didn't see. And I've been asked that by if I'm walking with, like when I'm with a Korean person, say,
mm.
why is that person staring at you? And I don't notice it at all. But like something that I've like experienced myself, like seeing, uh, I've not had any
Oh, that's
bad
lovely.
experience.
That's
Yeah.
lovely. That's
In
lovely.
quite the opposite on many occasions. I'll just speak of one. I went to a bank and I wanted to use Western Union.
Mm,
So I was like 4:30, 3:30, banks close at 4. So I'm waiting in line and they close up the bank. As long as you're inside, they will serve you even after 4.
mm,
So, but I go to the counter, they say, we if it was an in-house matter, we could
mm.
help, but because it's Western Union, they're already closed. And
We can't do nothing for you.
yeah. Then this old elderly Korean gentleman comes out of the back. It turns out he's the manager.
Mm.
And usually the stereotype that these guys are racist and they're bigoted and all of that. And he comes and he says, "What's the matter?" They explain to him and he said, "Okay, I was helping myself with my authority. I will do it."
Yeah, yeah.
And he's speaking to me in English and said, "Do you speak any Korean?" So the polite way is to say, "I speak a little," even if you're, so that's what I said.
Yeah,
"You speak a
fluent.
little."
Mm.
We were just here making money and not learning. And he started making fun of me. And he said, "Do you have a Korean girlfriend?" I said, "I would never say I have one because this is clearly a bigoted man. And if I tell him that, he'll be pissed." And
Mm.
I said, "No, I don't have a Korean girlfriend." And he said, "That's your problem right there. Like, that's your problem."
You should get yourself one.
Yeah, you come to Korea, you should become a Korean.
Yeah.
Get a Korean girlfriend, start eating Korean food, start mixing with Korean people, doing things Korean. And he went on this lecture. Since he was helping me, I was just taking it all in. And he said, "Okay." At the end, he said, "Next time, if you come back here
Mm.
and you don't have a Korean girlfriend and you can't speak Korean, I'm not serving you." That sort of accent. And it was just because everybody had laughed and it was just him and the other workers and they were hearing it and they were all laughing. Whenever I went after that time, they made me skip the line. Like as soon as I get in, everybody beamed like, "Oh, the guy's back." And
Yeah.
and they just said, "Come on right here," and I would skip the line all the time. And I've had so many of those experiences.
That's
Uh,
so cool, man.
yeah,
Yeah, that's so cool. It's good that you've had a good experience, because we always think like if you go somewhere like over there where probably some of them have never met a black person would think, oh, it would
yeah,
be difficult. But look, it's even
mm,
like welcoming and you
yeah,
feel right at home over there.
yeah.
Which is way too cool, man. Which is way too cool. But I must imagine that like when it comes to food or anything, Has there been anything that like came as a culture shock to you? Um, Something that you just good or bad that you just found like, oh, this is very different from how we do things back home.
I would say almost everything when it comes to their food. So that's what these are the conversations we always have. Like I'm enjoying my shabu shabu, this kind of food they have, and they say, "Oh, so do you have a similar dish in Zimbabwe?" And I said, "No." And do you think Zimbabwean people would like it? And I said, "If you cook it like this,
Uh,
no one is eating this because it's like I would just describe shabu shabu to you. It's like clear colored like water. Of course, it has some things in it. Then
mm,
you put cabbages in there. Then you put mushrooms in there. Then you put meat in there. So it's just boiling like that. So there's no color in there. It's just meat with its natural color,
uh,
cabbages with their natural color, and mushrooms with their natural color. So you can imagine the way you're imagining it is the way exactly
yeah,
the way if Munaga or if somebody cooks something that is bad back home, that's what it would look like. So I would say the
shabu,
first
shabu.
way they cook their food is very first is very unattractive to us. Secondly, some actually very weird looking foods. For example, they have this um, octopus dish. So they have like tiny octopuses and they cut them. And
Mm,
while they're still breathing and still alive, they put uh, spices on them. So they start
um,
breathing a little bit more. You eat them like that. And yeah, that was a culture shock. And I don't know why people eat that. It's like something to hold to because what you can only taste is the spice. Um,
and the octopus itself doesn't taste like much.
yeah, it's just like a rubbery fleshy thing. Like all you can taste is probably just the spice, to me at least. They
Mm.
say it's a delicacy. Um, they have yuke, which is like beef sushi. So just like that, it's raw beef.
Raw beef, but it will
Yeah,
be sliced thinly.
spice. But I am starting to like it now. It's sliced thinly, and it's usually from their like Hano beef. It's like grade A beef, so it has a kick to it. But you gotta admit, at first it's
Mm.
red and it's just there. It's raw meat. It's definitely a culture shock.
And what do you eat it with?
Usually beer, but you can also have rice, or any other starch that you can think of, but mostly rice and beer. That's
I can imagine. And by the time you got there, you already knew how to do the chopsticks.
yeah, because somebody taught me before I came here. Like, because I think that the most difficult is just to understand the concept behind it, right? I think you've got it figured out. Like when we see that it looks like both sticks are moving and both sticks are doing whatever.
But it's
So
one.
it's just one.
Yeah.
Once you figure that out,
Yeah.
it works like a charm. So I've tried to teach people, and they are obsessed with the idea of moving them both, and you can truly.
I just can be really, really accurate and dexterous with them that way. And yeah, so you had the language unlock, you had the chopsticks unlock. Yeah. And I think I've heard it that like if you go to a place and you speak the language, it will be much, much easier for you because people will warm up to you rather than if you were really learning the language. So does Korean have like dialects like most languages do? Like can you tell like someone is from the north or south or the east by the way they speak?
I can tell to a degree, but not as much as they can tell. They can tell like with utter precision. You're from Daegu,
Yeah,
you're from Gwangju, you're from Seoul. Seoul is like the standardized. So everybody tries to speak that way, but you
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 can
there's
tell.
you can tell. But it's actually very extreme. There is like a Jeju-do dialect, which linguists classify as a completely separate language in some situations. It's still Korean, but it's so different that
So it's
people want
spoken like Jeju Island.
it's spoken in Jeju Island. But just like our same situation when we are reading, for example, in school, we have like a standardized shona that it's
Yes.
joke or joke
Yeah.
in the 1940s.
Mm.
So we can understand that. We think that's our Shona because nobody has told us that. But
Mm.
for us who were coming to from Boera, it was different from what we spoke at home.
Yeah,
So people who don't speak the standardized Shona can still communicate with each other because we still have that standardized Shona that works with everybody else. I think that's the similar situation here.
makes sense. Makes sense. But how difficult was it learning the characters? Are they like Chinese characters where in like, or maybe I'm wrong about Chinese character in this word, but like everything has its own character. That means like for a pen, it's just a character for pen, not like alphabet like we do combining symbols to represent ideas. They have a character for everything.
Yeah, you're right about Chinese for that.
But
Um,
no, Korean is not like that.
Korean is not like that. Why is Korean not like that? Because Chinese is like that. So the
Wait. Because Chinese.
is like that. Chinese is difficult. So originally, China had so much influence on Korea that
Mm,
uh, people sometimes who are enemies of Korea, for example, would say
mm.
Korea is just a little China that eats kimchi. That's very
So
derogatory.
basically, it's all the same with slight difference. And Chinese
Of
being
of course, it's like what good example can I use? For example, we can say we were influenced by the British, but it doesn't mean that a British person can go to Zimbabwe and say, "Oh, I totally understand all what you're doing," right? So it's a unique in its own self, but with roots that are rooted in Chinese. So, long story short, in the beginning, they were using Chinese characters for their writing and everything else. Then one king, one of their best kings, um, felt it was important for the peasants and people who are not educated to be able to also, write and read. So he created Hangul, the Korean alphabet, which is arguably the easiest alphabet on Korean on planet Earth. So yeah, it's very simple. Like I can teach it to you in a day, and you'll be able to create. You'll be able to create your own language after that. Um, so yeah, it's arguably the easiest, the simplest alphabet, and that's why so many people are learning Korean right now because that first step is, I think, is the easiest. I don't think anything compares to that.
so do you need to have an artistic bent for you to be able to write it? Like when you learn it at an older age, do you think you have an advantage if you are good at drawing?
No, because the characters are very simple. Do I have a pen here? And I'll just show you one. Um, I don't have a pen, but uh, I just a moment. Okay. So, for example, the first letter, which says the hard G sound, g, it's like one stroke, another stroke. So, like that.
Hmm.
That's it. And the stroke for the R sound, it will be just like this. So, if you want to say ga, you would then just add that to, now you have a syllable, which is a word to go. Like if I
Hmm.
want to say, oh, go away, I would say ga, like that. So anybody can do this. It's just lines. One, one. So if I want to say um uh go, for example, that's not a word, but it's a syllable, right? Uh or let's say give, which is an easier, it's the same stroke, then
Huh?
another stroke that goes up and down. That's another syllable. So it's this easy. So almost everything is just those lines, like 2 lines, 3 lines. So you don't have to be artistic. You don't have to, you just have to be able to grab a pen. There
Yeah.
are no circular letters except for one. So you don't have to think about that. All of others are just boxes.
And what does Nkosimida mean?
I think you mean Komapsumida.
Nkomapsimida. Yeah.
Means thank you.
Ngoma Simida. At least I know one word. Ngoma Simida.
Absolutely. Yeah, it means thank you.
So when it comes to pop culture, we consume Korean dramas and thing, and a bit of music like the BTS and thing. Over there, are they more into Korean music and movies, or they watch mostly American?
Um, so I say they're more on their local content because of the language barrier. If they have to watch American shows, they have to use subtitles, which is not the best experience. So they still consume much of American pop culture, but I think they consume theirs more.
It makes sense.
Um,
And technology, man, tell me about technology. I know you've seen some amazing things.
yeah, but it's not like mind blowing. Like as soon as you get there, it's
Like
like wow.
what I think Japan is like.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like it's just that they have everything that we do, but only better and more. So it's like you wouldn't come here and you say, "Oh, what's going on?" You would have at least an idea. That's a train, but this train runs on time. This train goes at 300 kilometers an hour.
Mhm.
This train, I don't have to go on a counter and buy a ticket. I can do it on my phone. This train, so that sort of thing. If I'm um, I don't have to deal with anybody. I just buy my ticket and sit on my,
Happy.
yeah, that sort of thing. And it's likely not going to fail. There's never a time when they say, oh, the system is down
Mm,
or train has been delayed, unless some idiot tries to jump in front of a train and they have to investigate. But other than that, it's like that. So yeah, it's those subtleties that make a bigger difference, right? So they have an electric train, we have an electric train. It's just theirs runs better and it's much more comprehensive and connected. Um, yeah.
And do you, on your day to day, do you feel the the presence of big corporations like Samsung and Hyundai? Should you get actually to interact with how they help the society, be it economically or socially? Socially, I mean by like everyone having a Samsung phone, and economically,
So,
everyone driving a Hyundai truck, Hyundai car, Hyundai bus.
all right, yeah. If only
How
my
actually do
English,
you pronounce Hyundai,
it's Hyundai.
Hyundai? Does it mean anything?
It means modern.
Modern? No, that's a name.
So, so it's actually interesting. Like Samsung, Sam means three and Song means star. So 3 stars.
3 stars.
Yeah, 3 stars. That's a song is just an heavenly body because even planets are called songs as well. That's like some Chinese characters.
And how do you
Uh,
pronounce it correctly? Say it again.
Samsung
Samsung.
song, yeah. Then LG used to be a copycat of Samsung. It was just Gold Star. Gum Song.
Gumsung.
Oh, no, no, Samsung, LG. No, no. No, no, not Gum Song. It's something different. It's oh, I would have to think about it. It was once that, then it changed to Lucky Gold or something like that. So now we have LG. Ah,
And
I knew
is
this.
it life is good or we just it's their motto?
Now it's now a motto that came from that. But
Oh,
so it's Lucky like something a Chinese character Lucky then Gold, Lucky Gold or something. So luckily gold in Korean is gum, which starts with a G sound, and the lucky character also is it starts with an R like sound which they translate to L. So LG just makes uh so lucky gold. And I would have to look it up again. But yeah, we actually have two Hyundai right across the street from where I live, maybe 30 meters, like a service center and a showroom that they're building right now. And so yeah, Hyundai cars, Kia cars, it's you the only foreign cars that you see are high-end cars like Mercedes is high-end BMWs, Porsches, Lamborghinis. But other than that, regular cars are just locally made. Kia, Hyundai, SsangYong or Renault, Korea Renault.
Mm.
Then yeah, I think that's just about it. Uh,
So who's bigger, Kia or Hyundai?
Hyundai is bigger because yeah, Hyundai is like the top car producer, and it's also very recognized across the globe. So there's also this sort of sexist ideology, like Hyundai is for men, Kia is
Mhm.
for women.
Okay.
So, but it's not true.
And how does Young fit in all of this?
It's like a small fish in big sharks world. Like you rarely see it. So Hyundai dominates because, like I'm saying, we have two car centers right across from my street.
Mm.
Wherever you go, there like a place where you can get your car fixed for free or checked for free and all of that. So all over the country. Even if you go to a very tiny village, you'll see a Hyundai service center there or a showroom. So that's what people preferred. Anywhere you are, you can get like the proper help that you need. Whereas brands like SsangYong cannot do that. They're too small. But Kia can try. SsangYong cannot. And yeah.
And going back to Samsung, I always hear stories about just how big Samsung is. Can you just try to give me an idea of how big it is and how entrenched in everyday life it is? Because I only know like they make products, but I'm told apparently there's more to that.
Yeah, you can say they make all products, you could say that, right? They make phones,
Mm.
good phones.
Mm.
They make air conditioners, they make fridges, they make cars, like they have Samsung Renault car.
Mm.
They they make printers, they make computers. So whatever you can think of, I need an electronic product, I need all of this.
Yeah.
Samsung is at your back. And they have apartments, they have like a construction company. So if you go around, you see Samsung apartments and all of that. And they have an image of reliability. So if you want something cheap, you could go and get, SK or LG. But if you want something that lasts long and that you can sell for a good resale price, go to Samsung. If you want something that is good service, go to Samsung. Uh, at the same time, they also into financial situation services. So if you have a Samsung phone, you don't have to carry your card or you can pay with your Samsung phone. You can take the bus with your Samsung phone. You can do a lot of other things with your Samsung phone. So yeah, I think they are stretched in. They at one point they were making noodles like regular.
And they would brand them Samsung.
I don't know, maybe that was before they changed to something. But I think that's the odd thing is that they're making phones because they started off as a noodle company.
Okay. Oh, and they pivoted.
Yeah, and then they diversified and grew into other, big. So Samsung was actually from this city. It started in this city and oh, they're also into sport. My favorite baseball team is Samsung. They are into volleyball, they're into
Wow.
gaming, esports. So
You said it's baseball.
yeah, baseball.
That's the most popular sport in Korea.
I think soccer would be the most popular, but baseball now is getting better and better because what they've tried to do is to make sure that even I will take you to a baseball game and I guarantee you enjoy it, even if you have zero knowledge of baseball or zero interest in baseball.
Yeah.
It's the atmosphere that they bring to the to the baseball ground, and it's just so it's like a place you can hang out for 4 hours watching a game and
Mm.
taking part in the festivities. So it's getting popular right now. It's been breaking so many records, and yeah.
Wow. Oh man, our time is almost running out, but before we go, can you just tell me what your favorite part of being in Korea is? Your favorite thing in Korea? I don't know how to phrase it, but what's your most favorite thing about Korea?
I think I would say this for as an from a perspective of an immigrant or if, an expert, let me call myself that. And if anybody else would be thinking about coming to Korea, it's just that Korean people, they mind their own business. So if you walk onto a subway, everybody is looking at their phone. Nobody really thinks about you. And they are ingrained with the idea of, thinking about others. If you don't think about others, you bring shame to your family. So they're likely not going to harm you because it's brings shame to themselves and their families. So you can live your life. You can, if you're somebody who's independent, you can live your life without people touching you, without people poking at you, without people ruining your day. You're just doing your own thing, and uh, everybody who has to smile at you smiles at you. Everybody else just don't.
Go about their business.
They just go about their business. You don't feel different when you're here. So I think that's the best thing. But if you're somebody who is like people who have to be part of the community to to feel alive, like you
Uh,
want to say, hey, hi, hi, and this is not your place because you look like a weirdo if you do that.
yeah.
So, but if you're somebody who says, okay, I would rather just come out of my home, go to my office and do my work and do my part and go back home, it's perfect for that. So that's
Oh man, I'm glad you're having a wonderful, wonderful time in Korea. And I hope we can plan and maybe I do a week or two and just get to see the place, man. If that fails, then we do Malaysia or Thailand. It would be just amazing. Just actually getting to link up in person and just, have a good time, Yeah.
yeah, and maybe then you can try CAS.
Definitely. Definitely. But meanwhile, you can send me a trinket, something that just says Korea. Something
All
like even a packet of Korean biscuits or whatever. Something just
right.
says Korea. Yeah.
Definitely. I will I will think up some interesting package there to yeah.
Yeah, man. Thank you for joining us today on Zoom Boys. Hopefully, we can have a more structured video next time and get to talk about some hard-hitting issues. But it's always nice to have a laid-back vibe and talk. All right, Buster. Cheers, cheers,
Yeah.
my man. Have a good one.